Hi, I can't wait to show you my finished product and all the other stuff I've been working on lately. I've got lots to show you. So my name's Gabie. I'm Gabie's Goodies on Ravelry and Instagram, and I'm also on loveknitting.com. And I am an avid knitter, and I would still say an amateur knitwear designer. I have my Swiss tea pattern that's in testing right now that's this close to being ready for publishing. So I'm very excited about that. And I guess we will start with what I am wearing. I am wearing the Ladyfingers sweater by, I forget the designer's name, but she's More Thunder on Instagram, and I'll put her information up here. And I finished it and blocked it and wove in all of my ends. Speaking of ends, I have a large pile of ends that I wove in. I'd say that's the only real negative to a colorwork sweater where you're changing colors this often and all over, is that you end up with lots of ends. Now, if I had been using non-superwash wool in a worsted weight, I think I could have done the weave in the ends as you go, instead of having to wait till the end and then weave them all end with a tapestry needle. That was, I did it. I was very proud of myself, but it was definitely a task. But it's done and it is blocked, and I meant to measure it beforehand. Maybe I'll measure it afterwards and put the dimensions up, but I knit mine out of a fingering weight yarn. The Zen Yarn Garden's banana split color set, and I think total there were like 1,400 yards of it. It came in 7 colors, I believe. I think this is 7 colors, whereas the pattern calls for 5. And again, the pattern calls for a worsted weight, and this is a fingering weight. So I knit a size 3, and my guess is it turned out to be more of a size 1. And I knit the long sleeve version. And I knit my sleeves plenty long because I like it to be cozy. I like cozy sleeves. So when I have my arms down, they're probably about mid-palm if I just let them rest, which I like it like that. The beauty about knitting your own garment is you can make it however you want. So I am pleasantly surprised, I guess. Maybe that's not the word for it. I'm happy that it worked out because this was a big gamble knitting it in the fingering weight yarn versus the called for worsted yarn. And I wasn't 100% sure how that would work out, because some of the negatives to that would be, of course, you don't necessarily meet gauge. And so the dimensions are going to be different in your finished product. And even though I knit a size 3, and like I said, I think it turned out about size 1, but I'll verify that. It totally fits, but there isn't extra room right here, especially. And so if I wanted, I wouldn't be able to wear like much of a shirt under it. I have a tank top on under it now, but I think it would be too bulky right here underneath of this sweater because it just doesn't have a lot of room right there. I mean, it fits fine, but it just doesn't have a lot of room under there. So that's one giant risk. The other is that it could be a loose gauge that I'm knitting it out, considering the size yarn, which means that you would be able to potentially see like the floats behind it, and it just may look not as good. But I am happy that this yarn, it did plump some, I think. And you really, that is my AC unit, and I will cut that out. So like I was saying, it's knit in a looser, it's a more open weave, or more open fabric, there we go. And so there's potential to see those floats behind it, but I don't have an issue with that. Like, I don't see the floats behind it. It looks great to me. On the plus side, I wear fingering weight garments more than I do worsted weight sweaters because they're just a lot hotter. And so I think I'll get more wear out of this than I would if I had used the thicker yarn. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing what I did, especially if you're not willing to risk failure. And I probably didn't do enough testing of swatches before my final product. I did do a swatch, but I don't think I blocked my swatch, which is really what you ought to do to get an accurate gauge. But it worked, so all is well. Again, the ladyfinger sweater, and it is done. Okay, I have other finished products, which is exciting. I don't know if I've shown this mug before, but one of my stepsisters gave this to me. It's from Anthropology. And of course my name is Gabie, so she has a G on the front. But it's super cute. As you guys know, I am still hoping and planning on doing an adult knitting class in my children's homeschool co-op for the parents with the Knit How book. And so I've been knitting a few things out of it. And the first thing I did is a pair of mittens. Yay, mittens. This is worsted weight yarn, which is what I think it calls for. And I had this in my stash. It was actually given to me by someone like decluttering their stash of yarn. And it is a wool yarn, and it reminds me of spin cycle yarns, even though I haven't actually owned any spin cycle. But I think they dyed in the wool before it's turned into yarn. And so it creates, I don't know, almost a marled effect, I guess, in there. So even though it's orange, it has a lot of variation. It has greens and browns in there. And you can see that a lot after I knitted it. It's kind of stripy almost. But not like obviously stripy. I don't know, I like it. I like how it turned out. So these mittens are knit left and right. The only change I think is around the thumb. And I did modify it slightly because I wasn't sure. The one question I have from this book is like how much yarn is needed, because they suggest you getting like a ball of this and a ball of that. But I don't know how much I really needed for the project. Like, are you going to use 2 whole balls of yarn? And so I was worried that I would run out, which obviously I very much did not. So I knit this ribbed part shorter than it was supposed to be. But I had never actually made mittens, so this was really fun. I should put them both on for you. I don't really think they go with my sweater. So they are called, let's see, I can find them in here. Oh, there they are. Rosa mittens. And so it tells you to get 2 balls of yarn, one for the cuff and another for the body of it. And so that's why I was afraid I might run out. But I certainly did not, and I wished I had done the ribbing a little bit longer. Or not ribbing, the garter at the bottom, a little bit longer. But they're still cute, and I think they'll still work, and they'll be a great sample for my class. So after I did that, I decided that it would be good to do one of like the first real project. The first project they have you do is just knit squares. Then after that, they have you do some fingerless mitts. You see that? And they are knit flat, so 2 rectangles that have ribbing on the cuff and then ribbing around here. And again, in my stash, I found some awesome yarn. This yarn is super cool, and it's it's a single ply, and it has a lot of what do you call that? The fuzziness. I forget what you call it. The haze. I forget what you call that fuzziness. The intentional fuzziness that's on there. The word is slipping my mind. So I made those. Well, I made one because I thought that it'd be really nice to do one and then do the second one with my class. So one is the sample and then the second one I'll do with my class. But it is really simple because you knit it, it's just a rectangle, and then you seam it up and then leave a gap for the thumb. So as a beginner's project, it would be fantastic because they get something wearable out of it without having to know a whole lot. You only really have to know knit and purl and then how to seam, obviously. So that's exciting. And this yarn turned out really cute. The only issue I had when I made this is that when I did the ribbing here, I must have been, I don't know, lazy or something, or looser, because this ribbing is definitely looser than this one down here, and they are the same stitch count, and I wish that this was a little bit tighter. So I've debated about pulling it out, but I don't know yet, haven't decided. And I probably could have knit a size smaller for myself. I think they come in, I think they have 3 sizes in here. I'm getting quite warm in my sweater and my fingerless mitten on. Let's see. Yes, they have 3 sizes. Yes. And I think I knit the medium. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's what it is. I will have to find out so I can knit the second one to match. So I was very pleased about the yarn. The yarn turned out really cute. And it'll be kind of interesting because the second one will be identical in the gradient, or the fade, or I guess fade. So it'll be slightly different, which I think is kind of cool. All right, so that's all from my Knit How book, my cute little basket. And the last thing I have, you know, I technically had a lot of finished objects, but I feel like I've gone through them really quickly. Did I mention both of these were worsted weight and very quick knits, which is nice. So my last item I want to show you is a work in progress. I think I talked about it maybe last time or the time before, and it is, I'm trying to replace a cardigan that's open in the front, and my current cardigan is lace all over and cotton, I believe, and it's just old and getting kind of ratty. But that one's 3/4 length sleeves, kind of wide sleeves, a little kimono style, I guess, in the fit, just kind of boxy and stuff. But I really enjoy wearing it, so I haven't thrown it out, even though it probably should be thrown out. So I went to replace it with my own knitted item. And also nail, because I knit so much, everyone always asks me if what I'm wearing was made by me, and when it's not, it's always, slightly disappointing. So I prefer, if I'm wearing a knit, for it to be my knit. So this is what I've gotten so far, and I'm very excited. This is going to be the back. Of course, it's not blocked. Maybe I should have steamed out the lace. I will try to stretch it out so you can see it. So it's kind of a lace, and it has almost a smocking effect. If you remember, the little girls' dresses that have the pinched fabric, it kind of does that. Right here, you take like 5 stitches here, and you put them on a cable needle, and then you wrap the yarn around twice, and then you transfer those stitches back over and just continue knitting, and it creates these little smocking kind of look to it. And then it has some lace in the middle of the diamonds. And it's not a super complicated pattern, I was going for something not overly complicated, but that still gave a lot of interest. And I was toying with the idea of all over lace, but I decided that would be a lot for me to do, and so I'm sure that would be like a lot for anyone else to do too if I ever, finish writing up and publish it. So I decided that it would be about in thirds. So there'd be a third at the bottom that would be the lace in the texture here, and then it would just be stocking it up to the top. So I am a little over halfway, and it's gonna sit probably mid-hip on me, but doing the stockinette will also give a lot of flexibility, that if anyone wants to make it longer or shorter, you can do that easily in the stockinette area, and you wouldn't have to worry about your stitch counts and the lace pattern getting messed up. So like I said, the lace is not terribly difficult. You do have to pay attention, but it is only like a 12 stitch repeat, and this is about 16 rows, so it's not a horribly complicated pattern. And there are no actual cables in here, it's just yarn overs, knitting 2 together, slip knits, and then the only thing that's truly unique is that the little wrapped section. But I think that wrap section is actually easier than like a cable, personally. So I'm super excited about that. I think it looks really cool. The front, so this is the back, and then the front will be knit in 2 pieces, and the bottom of the front will have this lace pattern on it as well, the same size. And then the collar will also have pattern on it. And I got this actual lace stitch from this lovely book. This book has so many beautiful stitches in it, but some of them are just rather complicated. So that I haven't used a lot of them, especially in any designs, because they are a bit complicated. But I love this one. Here's a picture of it. So anyways, I think that is all of my knitting for today. I hope that you guys are doing well and that you are finding time to knit. I have recently started school with my kids. We started just a couple weeks ago in mid-August, and it's going well, but as you can assume, it takes up a good amount of time. So I don't have quite as much time to play with my podcast and to knit and to write my patterns. So that's always sad. But I'm enjoying the time with my kids. They needed some structure back in their life. The summer they get, I don't know, sometimes they can get a little aggravating because they have lots of free time to do things, and sometimes bring the structure back in makes it so that when we have that structured school time and then they get to be free to go play, they just go play as opposed to, nagging me all the time. So it's kind of nice to get back in that routine, although it takes a lot of time. So me with all of my knits on, even though it's still August, I am saying goodbye, and I will see you next time. Happy knitting!